Queen Elizabeth II died on Thursday aged 96, and the Church of England priest, who was formerly a pop singer, Rev Richard Coles, is keen for the late monarch's name to be changed. Like other former British kings and queens such as Ethelred the Unready, Alfred the Great and Ferdinand the Fickle, the Reverend, who achieved 3 top 10 chart hits in his band the Communards, insisted the Queen should receive her own title after death. Many have spoken of how the Queen had a busy calendar of work commitments right up until the end of her life and was notorious for her reluctance to skip engagements even when she was ill. In fact, just 2 days before her death, she personally met and appointed new Prime Minister Liz Truss. Now Rev Richard Coles is keen for that dedication to her work to be honoured with the epithet Elizabeth the Dutiful. She understood her role was to unite a nation in a time of adversity, he exclaimed proudly. The job of our leaders is to hold us together, and, the Queen understood without having to be told. That wasn't the only name he suggested for her in his opinion piece for the Sunday Times today, with Elizabeth the Long-Lived being another contender. Although she didn't live as long as her mother, who died aged 101, she did have the longest reign of any king or queen in British history. She had overseen a grand total of 15 prime ministers during her time on the throne and earlier this week had met with both Boris Johnson and Liz Truss. Another possible name for the dearly departed monarch was Elizabeth the Far-Travelled, a nod to how modern transport innovations had allowed her to cover more ground than anyone else before her. Former Conservative leader Mr. Johnson used the epithet Elizabeth the Great when he discussed her in his speech mourning the nation's loss. Only one royal has ever been awarded the title of the Great in history, Alfred the Great, whose reign lasted from 871 to 899. He received the name after saving Britain from the threat of Viking conquest. Rev Richard, who previously led religious services in Findon, Northamptonshire, has made it clear that in his eyes, Terry's only one top choice for Elizabeth II. In a world that finds it impossible to commit to lunch, she kept the promise she made when she became heir to the throne, that her whole life, whether it be long or short, would be devoted to our service, he wrote. I would choose Elizabeth the Dutiful. It has not yet been announced whether she will be awarded an official epithet. Meanwhile, a date has now been released for the Queen's funeral, September 19, which will be a public holiday in her honour. Banks and many businesses will close to pay their respects throughout the day. The newly appointed King Charles III has announced his wishes to have a period of mourning in the royal family for at least 2 weeks. He was spotted with tears in his eyes recently as he, like the rest of his family, acknowledged that his late mother's 70-year reign had come to an end,